Brooklyn, New York, Valentine's Day, 2005. The subway hums beneath the city. People rush along crowded sidewalks, and a 19-year-old named Rashawn Brazell is supposed to meet his father to take care of his taxes. He never arrives. That missed appointment becomes the beginning of one of Brooklyn's most haunting unsolved cases. Rashawn was young, full of life, and just starting to figure out his place in the world. Friends remembered his smile, his openness, his energy. He was openly gay, something that made him proud, but also vulnerable in a city where violence against young black gay men was too often ignored. His family expected him that day. He was dependable, reliable. So when he didn't show up, worry turned quickly into alarm. 2 days later, February 16th, an MTA worker made a grim discovery in the subway tunnels near Nostrand Avenue station in Brooklyn. Inside a trash bag were body parts. Human remains stuffed in black plastic. Detectives were called immediately. More bags were found at a recycling plant in Greenpoint. The pieces were matched. They belonged to Rashawn Brazell. His body had been dismembered with precision. Whoever killed him wanted to make sure he was not only silenced, but scattered. The brutality of the crime stunned investigators. 19 years old, no known enemies, no criminal record. Yet someone lured Rashawn to his death and dismembered his body in a way that suggested calculation. Police canvassed the neighborhood, spoke to family and friends, but answers were scarce. The last confirmed sighting placed him leaving his home with an unidentified man. Witnesses described the man only vaguely. Beyond that, the trail went cold almost as soon as it began. The case raised immediate red flags. Why did such a horrific crime not dominate national headlines? Why wasn't his face plastered across every screen, every newspaper? Advocates pointed to the obvious. Rashawn was black, he was gay, and cases like his have a long history of being underreported and under-investigated. His family begged for answers, begged for coverage. They wanted his life to matter as much as anyone else's. Detectives floated theories. Could it have been a lover, someone Rashawn trusted enough to meet that morning? Could it have been a targeted hate, a predator singling him out because of who he was? The subway setting gave rise to another theory, that someone familiar with the tunnels had used them to dispose of his remains, suggesting planning and knowledge of the system. But theories never translated into charges. Years passed with little movement. Then in 2016, more than a decade after Rashawn's death, police arrested a man named Kwahiru Govan. He was already in prison in Florida for another violent crime. Detectives said he lived near Rashawn back in 2005, and they believed he might be responsible. For a moment, it looked like the breakthrough everyone had been waiting for. Headlines declared progress. Govan was indicted, formally charged with Rashawn's murder. But when the case reached court, the evidence wasn't strong enough. There was no clear DNA, no definitive witness, no physical proof to tie him to Rashawn's dismemberment. Prosecutors could not secure a conviction. The charges collapsed. Govan was later convicted in a different Brooklyn case, the 2004 murder of 17-year-old Chanel Petro Nixon, and he will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. But when it came to Rashawn, the case fell apart. The unanswered question remained. If not Govan, then who? The lack of closure weighs heavily. For Rashawn's mother, Desire Brazell, the pain never faded. She spoke at vigils, pushed for police accountability, and reminded anyone who would listen that her son was not just a victim, not just a headline, but a person. A teenager with dreams and potential, stolen in the most brutal way. The case has become a mirror reflecting of the broader problem of unsolved homicides in America, particularly those involving Black and LGBTQ victims. Studies show these cases are less likely to be solved, less likely to receive national media attention, less likely to bring justice to grieving families. Rashawn's name sits alongside far too many others in that grim category. Think about the scene: a subway tunnel, a recycling plant, black bags holding the remains of a life. Investigators said the dismemberment showed skill, perhaps medical knowledge, or at least knowledge of cutting tools. That detail continues to haunt the case. It suggests the killer may have done this before, or may have had experience that let them erase traces quickly. Yet, even with advances in DNA and forensic technology, the trail to Rashawn's killer has gone cold. In the years since, true crime communities, LGBTQ advocates, and journalists have tried to keep his story alive. It resurfaces occasionally in the news cycles, but never with the intensity it deserves. Meanwhile, families of victims with different demographics have watched their cases dominate national conversation. That imbalance is part of the tragedy. Rashawn's life mattered. His story deserves the same light. The memory of Rashawn still echoes through Brooklyn. His family keeps his photos. Friends share memories. Activists gather at vigils. Every year that passes without justice is another year that the system has failed him. Someone out there knows what happened. Someone walked with him that morning. Someone dismembered his body and carried those bags into the subway. That kind of crime doesn't happen in silence. Nearly 20 years later, Rashawn Brazell's murder still remains unsolved. No convictions, no closure. Just an open wound in the city and in the hearts of those who loved him. His name deserves to be remembered. Not only as a victim, but as a reminder of the lives too often overlooked, the crimes too often left cold, and the justice too often delayed. This is Midnight Verdict. Straight facts, no fluff, no fillers. Subscribe for more stories that need to be told. The ones that remind us justice should never depend on who you are, but often still does.